This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
This is The Season Starts Now. Leader Fan Radio Network.
Well, you know what?
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 11 seconds past 3 Central Daylight Time. Welcome back. Monday edition, bumper-to-bumper program on a very, I think, pleasant, crisp weekday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. My name is Dan Barreiro, the likable host of the program. Guardsy produces the show, and we will be with you. We got hockey tonight, so are we out like a little bit early? Is there any Vikings programming we got to get in?
No Vikings programming.
Okay, so we're going the distance.
There's no Vikings rewind because there was no game.
They did not play. They did not play.
So we're going the distance, 15-minute fan on demand, then Wild Kings.
How about Friday, though? Well, of course, you don't care because you're off completely. But, I mean, I'm assuming we're out at 5.
We are. For
Golden Gopher pregame.
Which is when I'll start, 5 o'clock. There you go. You're welcome.
That's outstanding.
Why not?
A lot to get into between then and now. I'll do my damnedest not to turn this into the second consecutive day of Hoosier Hotline, but I'm not promising anything. I'll be honest. I'm not promising anything. It could seep in every once in a while.
I'm surprised Sinekin's not here to co-host the 3 o'clock hour with a guest appearance from Courtney Cronin.
He seems bored with it.
Oh, no.
Well, he's Mr. Packer.
Maybe he's
just so consumed and obsessed with the a boring victory over the Cleveland Browns. No, not the Cleveland Browns.
Close.
The
Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals. Yep. It was the quarterback who used to play for the Cleveland Browns, who, by the way, was hideous in the first half. They had I think the Bengals had 69 yards total offense at halftime. Your guy, here, I'm being serious when I say I believe you could have quarterbacked the way that he, what's his name?
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. I was about to say Trent Dilfer. He's in the news too, by the way. More on that later. The Flacco philosophy in the first half was, I'm not going to get hit.
Right.
So I'm getting rid of the ball. If it's a 3-yard pass, it's a 3-yard pass. If it's 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, I'm still throwing it. They were awful. They did nothing. I think in 4 drives, they had 1 first down. And then I don't know how this happens. I guess it's why they play the game. Second half, their first drive went for 17 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he was methodical.
Lull you to sleep.
That's, I guess, all of us, including himself occasionally.
Yes, including all of us watching.
So, it was kind of a boring game. Yeah, the Sinekin this whole weekend should be all about the Hoosiers. But maybe fairness in FISA, Fairness in Sinekin Act, maybe he was, and I just didn't know it. Not sure. Courtney Cronin, another IU alum, I'm not sure. I've not seen. Has she crowed much about it?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Yeah.
I would imagine yes.
Yeah, like I said, if not now, when? When are you going to do it?
But she might be too busy because she's on every show. Yeah, she's sideline reporter on radio broadcasts. She's covering the Bears.
Very true.
She might not even know that Indiana's doing well again.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open at 64686. Don't forget, we'll be joined by Jonny Athletic at 3:30 today. Ben Lieber usually joins us on a Monday after a Vikings game, but there was no Vikings game, so he's going to join tomorrow. Is that correct?
Tomorrow, same time, right around 4:48.
He will help us preview Eagles week. Lieber will be tomorrow. What about Seifert? Do we know yet?
Seifert is tomorrow by phone at 3:30.
Phone?
Yep.
Oh, that hurts.
He's got some family stuff at 4.
Okay. Well, hard to argue. His track record's tremendous.
Yes, and he offered to move days, and the problem is our days are messed up this week.
Yeah.
Mace is going to be back in studio here.
Seriously?
On Wednesday. Yep, he texted me that today.
Okay.
Lavelle's going to move to Thursday because of the game on Friday. Because we only have 2 hours.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of flexibility to move a lot of people.
Yeah,
so
I was trying to add some people, too. Well, whatever. We'll make it all work. 4:30 today, our favorite counter-terror big knocker, Michael Hurley, his reaction to the huge Middle East peace accord deal. Is it real? Is it Memorex? I don't think there's any question that it's wildly successful to the extent that the remaining hostages have been freed. there's no one out there minimizing that aspect of the story, is there? There's no one. Please tell me. There's no one minimizing, well, I don't know what really got accomplished yet. That's a huge accomplishment. Can we all agree on that?
I think it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's awfully big. So we'll get Hurley's reaction to all of it. I'm sure there's plenty of video you can see of individual hostages who, basically have been held hostage since October 7, and their first opportunities to meet their family. It's what one might expect. It's about as emotional as one might expect. So 4:30 for Michael Hurley, former CIA officer who's joined us on geopolitical issues for quite some time, and he's a guy on his own. Huge Vikings group, too. We might even try to talk some Vikings as well.
He'll have a J.J. McCarthy take for you.
No doubt.
I'm sure.
No doubt. Well, that decision's, it's already been made, right? You do know that. You saw, you heard the head coach today.
I saw it. I pulled that audio.
It's over. I literally think there's less than a 5% chance he plays this week. And by the way, that's not a referendum on him as a quarterback. Just listening to the head coach, I was actually bothered by some of the audio. You did save it? You do have
I did, yeah. The one that you tweeted about? Yeah.
We may play it even before we do top 5, because I mean, did you listen to it? It was like about 3.5, 4 minutes.
It was a minute and a half.
Was it? Oh, he's even less.
Yeah.
And
yes, I did.
Like halfway through it, I'm going, is J.J. McCarthy 9 years old?
Right.
I mean, he's talking about this and the lower body. It's like,
right, mechanics and building blocks.
Is this his second year as a? I mean, it just seemed odd to me, the whole thing. Like we had to start from, get back down to the fundamentals.
Early in the journey.
Lower body. My God. Well, if it's that early in the journey, then he shouldn't play. At least not yet. So I am flatly predicting Carson Wentz. Not flatly predicting he's going to be great, but I think just listening to the head coach, I believe, even though he won't say it yet, the die has indeed been cast. And there's a number of you, and I know what you're up to. I understand the little game, the sly little game you're playing. How worried are you about all that talk about Cignetti going back to his native Pennsylvania? Life's too short. I mean, all I can do is appreciate what he's done at Indiana and hope and pray that Mark Cuban writes another check for another $1 billion. Because the word is, he is now on their payroll. Cuban has finally acknowledged for the first time in a long time he's spending bonus bucks.
Oh, yeah.
On the program. Well, no, this part's new. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He said he has not contributed athletically for like 12 years, but that he is now all in. So I want it to be a big amount. Like, I think if he were to offer up another $1 billion, I think you could keep Cignetti, don't you?
Well, my tweet yesterday when we found out James Franklin was going to get fired is Sig is about to get that Kaprizov money to stay.
Yes.
And I think they'll give it to him. And if they do call him, Penn State we're talking about, and he plays the game, because he could also just not play the game, but they all play the game, and he just got $10 million last year, right, or whatever it was.
I don't remember what it was.
It was a nice extension.
Yeah.
But money, if you're a Big Ten program and you want to keep your coach, money is not really going to be an issue. But I think he'll get Kaprizov money if they do call.
I think it's very likely, and it's easier to justify that if you can say we've got a billionaire, big shot who's willing to write the check. And then you don't have to get into the weeds of, well, we're supposed to be a state university. Let's try to keep some sense of proportion, even if that's what universities would even attempt to do. You can at least hide behind that a little bit. So we'll see where that goes. Season starts now, right? Can we all agree that it's not just Eagles week? It's the start of the regular season for the Minnesota Vikings. We laid out, I don't know if it was on sermons or may have even been late last week, that through 5 games, the Vikings have played either the easiest or second easiest schedule. And that's about to change in a big, big way. Now, I'm aware. Don't text me. I know. Eagles look more vulnerable than they did before. The Baltimore Ravens defense is frightening. Quarterback hasn't played. He's expected to be back, Lamar Jackson, by the time the Vikings play the Ravens. That game's here, isn't it?
It is.
So I thought. So I get all of that. But speaking of Seifert, he had this nugget. You may have seen it via ESPN's Football Power Index.
Oh, yeah, the FPI.
The FPI Index. As they come out of the bye, the Vikings have the NFL's most difficult remaining schedule. Period. Full stop. End of story. They will play 5 of the league's top 10 teams as ranked by FPI over the next 8 weeks. And that, of course, assumes that, indeed, Lamar Jackson returns for Week 10. I don't think there's any doubt he'll be back. Now, he can't play defense, but let's be clear about something. What can help your defense look less awful? On offense. Mm-hmm. They have no offense right now. They can't score. In fact, their backup quarterback, who I think got benched, he was the former Cowboys quarterback who beat us in a night game. I was there for that. I might have been one of the last Vikings games I went to. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You're speaking of Cooper Rush?
Cooper Rush. Yeah. Didn't he beat us here?
He did, yes. I think on a Halloween night.
It was. You're right. Yes. It was definitely a night game because I remember that part, and I was there. I don't even know why I was there, but I was. And he looked awful, and then they went back to whoever their third-string quarterback is. Is it Huntley?
Tyler Huntley.
He actually looked a little bit better. But the Ravens aren't going to continue to be this bad. So this is what – what's interesting about the schedule change is, we've said it, as far as I'm concerned, they failed through 5 at 3-2. They should have at least been 4-1. I might give you one loss. I ain't going to give you getting killed at home by Atlanta.
Bad.
I'm not giving you that one. That's a bad loss. So you win that game, you're 4-1, and you got a little bit more, equity and a little bit more, I guess you could say, interference if you start getting into a stretch where you're losing some games. But now this is when there's no sympathy. I don't think no one's going to have sympathy. Don't text me about our offensive line. I know it. We've talked about it. We're aware of it. I'd say every team in football, look at a number of the best teams in the league, and if we spent as much time obsessing over their injury list, we would be shocked because they all have significant issues, sometimes at the quarterback position, sometimes offensive line, sometimes elsewhere. So I have no sympathy for the, hang with us. Now you just have to play a hell of a lot better than you have to this point. In fact, I believe, what do we have, 3 victories right now?
Yes, 3-2.
The combined record of the 3 teams we've beaten is 5-11. The combined record of the 2 Big Ten victories, teams the Gophers beaten, is 0-6, not mistaken. So you can make the same argument, I guess, a little bit for the Gophers, that now, even though they're not playing greatness every week, Oregon's coming, I know, they're playing, I assume Nebraska's record is better than 0-3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they're 5-1 in top 25 now.
Okay.
They
and in the Big Ten, are they undefeated? Or they have one loss? I can't remember
if they lost or not.
They won in a barn burner at Maryland last week, correct?
Yep.
That's what they're coming off of. So this is really for both teams, you could say, but especially the Vikings I'm talking about. This is it now. And I don't know how much that enters into the head coach's decision-making or thinking at the quarterback position. That's part of what I want to get back to when we indeed return. As I mentioned, lots of good texts already coming in. We've got, believe it or not, and this might be historic, our first Dairyland diary, and I don't know when.
Wow.
How long, I should say. And I don't understand what's happened to the Dairyland diary supply. Mm-hmm. Is it Wisconsin people aren't as weird as they used to be, or have we not properly conditioned people to come to us with these stories to the extent that they once did? Because we used to get inundated. Weekly. They come to us. We didn't have to look for them.
Yeah.
And now I got one that I've been embargoing for several days. That's a whopper. But it doesn't feel like we get them very often.
Well, maybe this will reignite that flame.
Bonus bucks?
The Fan and 2 Men and a junk truck want to do that. It's our national cash contest. First keyword of the week is grand. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword grand.
I can't hit the button here. Will you hit it for me? Get Sig on the show? How hard would it be this week on a scale of 0 to 100? How hard would it be to get Kurt Signetti on the Bumper to Bumper program? It's a 0, isn't it?
I don't know.
0.5?
I mean, nothing's ever impossible. Who do they play this week, or do they have a bye?
No, I think they host I believe they host Michigan State this week. I think they just had their bye, so I don't think they're buying this week.
Yeah, this week would be tough.
Yeah.
This week would be tough. But we can always ask.
Maybe Bozich has got some inside. I mean, he's much closer to it. He bleeds cream and crimson actually a lot more than I do, as much as I kid about it.
Yep.
He was over the moon Saturday.
Oh, I saw him. I mean, best coach in the country.
Over the moon.
How much?
Google me.
You talk about
how many of those.
You talk about Cuban. I'm worried. Bozich just retired, right?
Yes.
I'm worried about him bleeding his 401k into the NIL fund. Like, he worked hard.
I don't think that's a beyond the realm of possibility.
I want to make sure he doesn't lose his nest egg because he's trying to get next year's great defensive line.
Here's what he texted me as it became apparent that Indiana was going to knock off Oregon. The first time in the history of the school that they've beaten a top 5 team on the road. And I think only the second time they've ever beaten a top 5 team anywhere.
They were the last Big Ten team to beat Oregon, by the way.
They were?
Going back to like 04.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
that's true.
Or 04. But anyway.
Here's the text he sent to me was, if you were here, I would kiss you. That's how emotional Bozich is in this thing. Yeah. And, of course, I have been kissed in a press box by Patrick Royce.
That's right.
Who we actually originally had some hope of having him in studio today, but he's battling some knee issues. More on that later. So we may try to squeeze him in at some point. Bumper to Bumper is the name of the program. And I'll ask you the question. So if you buy that the schedule's now serious, and it certainly appears to be on a number of levels, even... Look, I mean, the Eagles, I get it. They look a little bit out of whack.
Yep.
But the Eagles looked out of whack a bunch last year.
They do that.
They tend to do that, and they handle it well. I think they're one of those teams that handles disarray well.
Our brand is crisis. That's the Eagles' way.
That's it. But here's the kicker. They've been terrible on the ground. You got to believe they're thinking, well, this is the week our best running back runs for 200 yards.
Right.
Right?
They watched the Bijan Robinson tape.
Exactly.
From a few weeks ago and say, how do we do that?
Do you think any of this will enter into the head coach, KOC's decision-making as it pertains to the quarterback call?
Like who they're playing?
Yeah, our margin for error is reduced.
Yeah.
So does that make it more likely, he says, I can't experiment yet?
Yes, I think it does.
And
Carson Wentz, it's going to be Wentz Winnebagos is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it does. I definitely think it does, because the other part too is if you did have a great week on the grass last week, which is one of my favorite KOC phrases, just say practice.
Yes.
Like I know my coach does it too. You have all these flowery phrases, you got to use them. I get it. But if he did have such a great week in practice, like how difficult wouldn't it have been easy to just go, and we're excited to have JJ back. He's going to be the starter. I know maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe that doesn't happen coming off a bye. I'm sure there'll be, at some point, he's got to tell somebody. I don't know if that'll be Wednesday, whenever they reconvene, but because it just seems like the longer you don't hear that it's JJ, the more likely that it's Carson, right?
Yeah.
So I think it does enter into I think it has entered into his thinking that we can't really screw around. We can't waste any time. We can't worry about if his lower body mechanics are going to be out of whack because he's only practiced once since he had a kid. We got to try to win this game somehow. And Wentz is maybe our best chance to do it, so we're going to go with that.
What is what's happened to our guy Seifert? He's going to be on tomorrow by phone?
Yes.
I mean, did you see his tweet? It's video. J.J. McCarthy out here chest bumping dudes.
Well, people like that.
That's what we're down to here?
Looking for clicks,
Must be fit. Mm-hmm. Must be ready to go. I'll be honest with you. The video I've seen, he doesn't even look like he's walking straight yet.
Really?
No, I don't think so. And again, that doesn't make him a bad person. But in this case, I think the debate is going to be rendered moot. I really do. I think that even if the head coach is ready and is going to force feed this thing, I think his decision is going to be made largely because there's not going to be McCarthy. He even brought it up in one of the audio bits I saw. He's practiced basically once.
Yeah.
In the last, is it 3 weeks?
Right.
So I think that to that extent, it takes the pressure off him, and that the decision is not really a decision other than one made on medical grounds that indicates it's not time. Even if I want him to be ready, I can't force him to be ready. And I'm the whisperer. I've said what? Organizations fail quarterbacks more often than young quarterbacks fail organizations.
Yep.
So I'm not going to then turn around and be a hypocrite and try to rush a guy back when he is physically not ready to play.
The other thing I do think would factor into it, I think I talked about this on Enough Said on Friday. They play the Chargers a week from Thursday. It's a short week on the other side. So I'm wondering, too, I'm sure they don't want to. I'm guessing whoever they play Sunday, they're going to want to play on Thursday.
Yeah.
Again, I'd have to go back and think about precedent for quarterback situations.
Here's the only exception I would say. Let's say the Vikings get killed and Wentz throws 2 picks and it's terrible. And then you say, kid, well, you got to play. You got to get ready. You got to do it. But again, he's got to be physically ready to go.
Yep.
And I'm just not sure that he's going to be. I'm reminded that it's homecoming week at IU. You could tie in the whole alumni thing to get Cignetti on the air. I don't have a good vibe with him. I got nothing. I got no Indiana connections at this point, unfortunately. They're all gone.
And he's a national darling now. That's the problem.
Yeah. And to be honest, he's a hard interview.
Oh, yeah.
Because
he's a gruff dude.
He can be kind of entertaining, but you got to know where to go, and it depends on his mood a little bit. And sometimes you're like, okay, I don't want to play anymore. Cignetti, just give me a couple of good comments.
I'm not sure on game week he's ready to have a Barreiro conversation.
You don't think so?
No. When he's surging towards the college football playoff again,
right.
I don't think he's ready for a Barreiro conversation.
Michigan coach is also going to get fired. They'll be coming after Cignetti, too. Also, if Alabama loses another game or two, or LSU, in addition to Penn State. Lincoln Riley, after they lose to Notre Dame, game on.
By the way, Lincoln Riley had a nice victory over Michigan.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
The carousel, though.
I thought the Michigan quarterback was the best in history.
He's good, but he's also 6. Like, that's the thing we have to remember. Yeah. And, I was not surprised they lost to USC. I watched them play against Wisconsin 2 weeks ago. Did not come away, overly impressed. But this Penn State, whenever there's a big dog in the coaching carousel, a lot of stuff ends up happening.
There's no question.
Because there's just a domino effect unlike any other coaching search. So it's going to be wild. And by the way, I think it's idiotic that they fired James Franklin. We don't have time to get into it now, but Was it really $50 million? Yeah, 49
So
points.
Where does that come from? Where do they make that up? I really do want to know. I'll ask Mace about that when he joins Wednesday.
The theory is you get a couple of boosters that just say...
like Cuban types, and they go, we'll split it. I'll write 25. Yeah.
That's the theory.
Because there's no other way it can be justified if it can be justified at all. And you don't think it can be?
Theoretically, yes. There's no way to justify it, but it might just be. I mean...
Well, it's unprecedented what's happened there. It is an unbelievable... I mean, the bottom has fallen out.
15 days ago, he was getting ready for the whiteout game in a top 10 matchup against Oregon.
Which was a good game.
They lost in double overtime.
Yes.
And
then they, since then, got killed by UCLA there, right? Yep. And now UCLA turned around and destroyed Michigan State.
They did, on the road.
On the road with, what's his name's kid?
Jerry Neuheisel.
Yep. And then Northwestern.
I know. That's a tough one.
Northwestern's not a terrible team, but you obviously can't lose that game.
So anyway.
Let's break. We'll come back. Jonny Athletic. There's a lot to get caught up on with Jonny. We'll get into the Vikings and Eagles week for sure. A couple of other very controversial issues. If you have questions for him, Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open at 64686.
It's time for Jonny Athletic. Jonny Athletic, and he's on with Dan Barreiro right now.
It is that time again, brought to you by our good friends at RBC Wealth Management. They bring us Jonny Athletic to you each and every week. Jonny, are you looking these days for a light beach read, even though we're kind of post-beach season? It's almost fall, or it is fall. I have a recommendation for you.
Please send it along, because I'll be on some flights coming up here. Crisscrossing the globe, following the Wolves around. So why not? That'd be great.
This is the kind of book where you say, I just want to lose myself in it. I don't want it to get too heavy. I don't need anything too serious right now. I want to laugh, maybe cry a little bit, maybe get scared, but not in a fundamentally scary way. This is the book. The Exorcist. Okay. I'm rereading The Exorcist some 55 years after I think it came out. The book in 71, actually. and I haven't read it, I'd say, in at least 40 years. And let me tell you, it's not light. It's not beachy.
What?
I don't know what. You know what it was? I think Halloween's coming. I like the scare tactic stuff.
Yeah.
I liked the movie. I liked the book when it came out. I reread the book, see how it holds up. And it's creepy. Not going to lie. It's still creepy this long after.
I was going to ask why you inflicted on yourself. I guess 'tis the season, but let me ask you this. Is the book as scary as the movie? Lots of times the book is way better than the movie, but it's such a visual kind of entity. I just wonder, is the book as creeped out as the movie?
Well, for a lot of people, the movie version ended their affection for pea soup because the vomit scenes involving, I think Linda Blair was the actress, everything seemed to come out like split pea soup. It was gross. And a lot of people at that point swore off that particular soup, which I love. I'm a big split pea soup guy. I will tell you this. I thought the movie was very well done. It was, visually jarring for its time, certainly. But I think the book is really, really good. I think William Peter Blatty, I think, is the guy who wrote it. I don't even know if he's still alive. But I think, because as always with books, you can flesh out some things that you can't quite fit into a 2-hour film. And it's if you just want to, like I said, just let loose a little bit, and just kind of relax, kick back. If you're on a lounge chair on a beach in Manhattan Beach when you're following the Wolves to L.A., that's the book you want. As you look out in the ocean and see the swaying palm trees, that's the book you want to go to, The Exorcist.
Yes. Looking for some tranquility, just looking to kind of center myself a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's a great recommendation. I'll definitely have to head down to the library. And
if you don't, I know Guardsy will.
Yeah, I love it.
You love horror. You love horror films. You love horror books.
Well, I was going to say that Kilborn probably knows the producer of The Exorcist. You could probably have dinner at Dantana's with them after you read the book, Johnny.
Probably already has. It's very true.
I'm definitely going to be looking Lord Kilby up. We'll be out there in less than 2 weeks.
No question.
I can't wait for that. Or maybe 10 days. I don't know 10 days,
close enough.
But,
hey, let me ask you, before we get to a lot of football, let me ask you a toss-up pro basketball question that is really deep, I think, and is larger than just any one team. And it goes back to the Kawhi Leonard story, not the story regarding the tree-hugging company that he was allegedly a part of without doing any real promotion. That still got him $50 million or whatever it's supposed to be. But I go back to, his injury history again last year. He ended up, I believe, when we're talking about international play, didn't he end up basically getting dismissed? Or basically, I thought the people who ran the international body for pro basketball or the U.S. team basically said he's not healthy enough. We're not going to make him part of this team. And the story I was told was Clippers guy, I can't remember who the general manager would have been.
Lawrence Frank.
Yes, that Lawrence Frank went off basically on how dare you go, how to question him, et cetera, et cetera. And it was used in a story. I can't remember who wrote the story, basically saying, here's an example of one of the problems this league has right now, in that Frank may have felt differently, but felt obligated to protect the player, to be on the player's side, because the dirty little secret that gets reinforced year after year is that it's getting harder and harder. I'll tell you, I heard talking about Sam Mitchell. Sam Mitchell said the Clippers should have said, you're not playing. You're not capable of playing, but that there's so much fear in 2025 that the truth of the matter is a lot of general managers aren't really even general managers anymore. Do you agree with that premise?
Yeah, I do, Dan. And I will say, though, to be fair, it is selective in terms of
which ones.
There are certain players that do not require that sort of kid glove, coddling, however you want to term it. Anthony Edwards is one of those. Steph Curry, Jokic. There's plenty of examples of megawatt stars who are not the high maintenance type that way, but it is well known around the league that there are many that are, including Kawhi Leonard, including LeBron James, including, many, big name players out there that have turned, being a lead executive and a head coach oftentimes as well in this league into much more of a diplomatic post than, a front office leader, than a head coach, those types of things. Through the money that these guys are making, you are more beholden to them than ever to try and keep them happy, to try and keep them feeling supported. And I think in general, a lot of the guys who require that extra, the Joel Embiid is another one that require that extra kind of effort and care, typically fall short when you really need them. But if you were to take a straw poll or an anonymous poll of executives around the league, they would tell you that there's many of them out there that lose sleep at night and swallow their pride on a daily basis in catering to some of these guys because of just the way that things are run. It is difficult for some GMs, for sure.
Giannis is a player who around the league, I think, generally speaking, has developed a very good reputation, right? He works, he's talented, but he works. No nonsense in that regard. The question on the table, really along these same lines, is whether this is a bad look where he's got, I think, 2 years left on his contract. After this year, or maybe including this year, you may know better than me on his contract.
Including this year,
Including this year. Mm-hmm. So that's still a lot of time. He's not close to free agency. Mm-hmm. And he holds a presser when he finally addresses the issues of rumors about the Knicks talking to them and some other whoever else. And he says, no, I'm all in this. Now, in 6 months, I'm allowed to change my mind. And I'm going, I think that's also the kind of stuff that even if it's a great player, people go, what are you doing? If don't bother saying you're all in then. If you're going to say, but I could change my mind in 6 months because that will still be this season potentially. I think it is another tentacle of what we're talking about here. I get it. If you're one of five and you're a superstar, you control a lot in a basketball game compared to some other sports. I still don't think that's a very good look for him either.
Yeah, it is tough, Dan, because, I am with you in terms of, I'm an enormous Giannis fan. I love the way that he goes about his business and what he's meant to Milwaukee and the way that, generally speaking, over these 10, 12 years, he has spurned sort of the NBA media machine of suggestions. You have to get out of there. You have to get out of there. No, he's stuck there, won a championship, did all those things. It's clear right now, at this stage of his career, he is trying to apply pressure publicly and privately to the Bucks to continue to invest, to try and make player moves so that they can try and get back to championship level, which they are not right now. And I think he's doing it clumsily. I agree with you because I think there are so many times we have seen Giannis in press conference situations speak so eloquently, so thoughtfully about whatever the issue is of the day, and he's remarkable with it. But this one is tougher. Now, he can say, look, I've been here. I've put in 12 years with this team. I've stayed through thick and thin. We've won a title. I deserve to have some freedom, and he does. But you are already seeing what the Bucks are doing. Number one, they got rid of Damian Lillard and ate a bunch of his money so they could go get Miles Turner. But then they've signed both of Giannis's brothers. Like if Giannis has a sister, they'd probably sign her to play.
Yes.
That's just like the catering that they are trying to do, the bending over backward. And that's the kind of stuff where you're looking at it like, all right, man, is this really how a professional organization should run? No, it's not, but Giannis is the sun, moon, and the stars in Milwaukee. And if he leaves, you got to start over and you're really bottoming out. And so there's desperation there. And yeah, I wish Giannis was smoother with how he handled it, or maybe even just a little more discreet with it. But yeah, that's the name of the game. And everyone in the league is watching and waiting. And they're going to be saying, hey, Giannis, you said 6 months. What? How about 4 months? How about 2 months?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you ready now? It's going to be a thing all season long.
He's making $54,126,450 this year. He will make $58,456,566 next year. And then he's got a player option, 27-28, at $62,786,682. It's that old cliche about players now want it both ways. I'm going to go ahead and lock in on the money when you give it to me, but I'm still going to reserve the right to flirt with other teams after the fact. Because, again, we've had players leave, like LeBron, for example, Durant, right? And we can argue about whether he should have gone to Golden State, but he was approaching free agency, correct? So
yes, he was a free agent.
Yeah, he was a free agent. So to me, that's the distinction here that's fair to draw.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And here's the changing landscape of the league now with the second aprons that we've talked about and the much greater restrictions on transacting in the league that Tim Connolly has told you about on your show and told us as well. It is making it much harder now. There was a time, Dan, where player X could sign a 5-year deal and just say, all right, that's fine. I'll just get traded if I'm unhappy in a year. And that sometimes happened where they request a trade a year later or something like that. And you're thinking, wow, how does this go? But it usually happens. Nowadays, it's much harder to trade players, especially ones making $55, $60, $70 million a year. And so I do think that part of it, too, is now the frustration on the players a little bit that they've lost a little bit more control of being able to have their cake and eat it too. They're going to have to be a little more cutthroat and to take a little bit more of a risk, I think, with shorter deals or going all the way to the end of their contract before they can really exert a lot of leverage, unless you want to be Jimmy Butler and just blow everything up within an organization.
Fair enough. Let's talk some football. I've got a lot of good texts coming in, several of them for you, specifically regarding Eagles week and the Vikings quarterback call for this week. That's going to be the A topic for sure. Marshall writes from Minnetonka, a question for you. Why are so many people saying we have to figure out if JJ is the guy this season? He's 22. Jordan Love sat for 3 years. This is a winning business, and this team was built to win now. Wentz clearly gives them the best chance to do that. Let me give you one other one, and then you can go in any direction you'd like. This is from 701. Oh, it's from Flim Flam. Wentz versus Eagles is a better quarterback barometer than McCarthy versus Eagles. It's only worth starting McCarthy if you think he is capable of having a franchise quarterback type performance against Philly. He'll be active as the backup before he starts. Too bad JJ starts. Just can't solidify the gig. Not that my leash/toe/rope on Wentz Winnebago is fastened that tight. So fire away.
Yeah, I would say, I understand the point of, look, JJ is still young enough that you have time to start to figure this thing out, and you don't have to make a decision this season. But I do think one of the reasons the Vikings went with J.J. McCarthy versus Sam Darnold and paying him $30 million or whatever is that if you have a starting quarterback who is on that rookie deal, that is how you leverage those years with building around him, spending money talent-wise, so that you can ideally win right now. And it doesn't mean that you have to make that decision within 1 year or 2 years, but it certainly does help if by going into year 3, you really have a good idea on can this guy do it or not. I think it would be difficult for the Vikings if they got through this entire year and, barring a Wentz just explosion, Keenum-like, and they're going to the NFC title game with him. If it's a 9-win season or an 8-win season at the end and McCarthy hasn't played much at all, that's where I think you lose some advantage in terms of evaluation, in terms of roster building, in terms of decision making. And so I do think that there is, you'd like to see, in the absence of a huge step up in Wentz's game, which he's been good, but I don't think he's been great yet. I just think that you want to eventually get back to JJ if this season is going to be a middling season. If not, then you ride Wentz as long as you can. Or, as I've said before, maybe Wentz gets hurt again, or maybe he struggles, and then you just go back to McCarthy organically and let it play out that way. But I agree with the caller in some respects that I don't think you have to rush it right now. But I do think that you want to have a little bit better idea by the end of the season where you're going in the next 3 to 4 years.
I think in this case it may become academic, because if KOC is going to be as cautious, rightly, as he says he's going to be about the physical readiness of the player, then that will make his decision for him. And I think it already looks a little bit that way for this week. Again, where it gets funky is if Wentz is good to very good and the Vikings knock off the Eagles, you probably have to play him against the Chargers that next Thursday night, I think. And then it extends the problem, your problem that you're talking about, which is, well, God, we got to get to him. When are we going to get to McCarthy? On the other hand, I'd say if you keep winning, you'll accept that trade-off, even if it's not what was in the blueprint. And the other way is Wentz comes back to the pack, which he's very likely probably will at some point. And at that point, he's healthier. McCarthy's healthier. He's watched a little bit more, and he's ready to, quote-unquote, come to the rescue.
Totally, and that's where I think right now, coming out of this bye, the Vikings are actually in a little bit of an ideal situation in that you have 2 games in 5 days coming out of the bye, and that in and of itself gives you cover to not have to rush McCarthy back out there. You can reasonably and very responsibly say that, hey, we just don't want to, he's missed some time. We don't want to put him in that situation where he's playing 2 games in 5 days. And we're going to let this thing play out to make sure that we are taking care of him and giving him the best chance. And so you do not have to rush any of this. It can just unfold, naturally in terms of whether you continue riding Wentz. If he beats the Eagles and beats the Chargers, you probably got to keep going with him because this team is built to win now. But if somewhere along the lines he either is injured or he slips and has a rough one, then you can go back to McCarthy when he presumably is a little healthier, when hopefully your offensive line is a little healthier, and you again get back to where you were at the start of the season, where you hope that you give this young man the best chance to succeed while he's out there, and the best chance to get a true evaluation is when he's healthy, when as many people around him are as healthy as possible.
Is Jonny Athletic on today merely to mock Wild Nation after game 2 while he can before the Wolves take the court? That's from Alan in Afton.
I would love to do it, but I certainly can't do it this early in the season in an 82-game season, Dan. Yes, I think they were planning the parade route after the win over St. Louis and then got brought back down to earth. But, even the most disingenuous of me can't just dance on a grave after one bad game at home, even if it was a bit of a buzzkill. So I will, as my gift to the Wild fans, I will take it easy on them this week. Would you like to place into circulation your nominee to become the next manager of the Minnesota Twins? I am so with you, Dan, in terms of, I think you're on with this. It's like next year is going to be a dumpster fire, or going to be boring, I would say, and going to be apathetic, and there's not going to be a whole lot to interest anyone, I don't think. And the ballpark's going to be empty. So let's jazz it up. Let's put AJ Pierzynski in there. Let's put Ozzie Guillen in there. Let's get someone who is going to be throwing bases and tantrums, someone who's going to be throwing players under the bus, someone who's going to be making controversial statements to get some attention, because this thing is going the wrong way. And I would hate to see, I really like Justin Morneau. I would really like Torrey Hunter. I'd hate to see them put in that position and just have to suffer through something like that. So give me a live wire. Give me someone that you just never know what they're going to say or do when you get to the ballpark, and see if you can sell some tickets that way. Yeah, that's about I think that's pretty much what we're left with. The only question is whether those individuals are too smart to go to a program where they feel like, well, I'm bound to fail. I guess that gets back to, if you're desperate enough to become a manager for the first time or a manager again, you take whatever's there.
But I think that's the other issue is what smart, savvy ball guy as a manager is going to sit, unless he sits down and gets the vision of where this thing is going and saying, well, wait a minute now, so why should I allow myself to be thrown to the wolves this year, sacrificed, unless you got a plan to show me that this might actually be going someplace in 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I agree, Dan. When you look at it, I know that there's only a finite number of these jobs, right? And so, I mean, you can't be too picky about it. But I think that if you are a young, kind of coach that's coming up, that's well thought of, that's thinking about the next big thing, or you are a kind of more of a star free agent veteran guy who's won a lot of other places and is going to have his choice, I don't know why you would choose here. You're coming to a situation where there is a lot of animosity among the fan base. You're coming to a situation where you really don't think that there's going to be an incredible amount of investment from ownership, and that any sort of winning will be probably a lot based on luck and things like that. And so if you want to really have a chance to have any longevity in the profession, and you're not just desperate to take any job, I would think that this would be one of the least desirable situations that's out there right now in terms of openings.
Let me know once you hit the road and you crack open The Exorcist and finish that thing. Let me know what you think.
I will. I usually like to sleep on planes, and I might have some nightmares if I read a couple of chapters in that and then dozed off. But, hey, get busy living or get
challenge
busy
yourself.
Dying, right?
Yeah, every once in a while it's okay to challenge yourself. Upset the apple cart a little bit, So too much, otherwise too much apathy sets in.
I like it. Maybe I'll, and would you recommend, I've been looking for another book that I can read with the kids, before bedtime. Maybe that would be good too for them, right? We just curl up, in my daughter's bedroom and read a few chapters and then let her doze off to sleep peacefully. That'd be nice.
I think, they might doze off. I don't think it'll be very peaceful at that point. You can at least be selective about what dialogue you read from and which dialogue you decide might be left for a later time. You know what I'm saying?
I'll keep that in mind, and I'll run it by the wife as well. See what
there you go. Thanks, man. That's Jonny Athletic, brought to you by RBC Wealth Management. Michael Hurley in about a half hour, about 4:30 this afternoon. We'll get his reaction to the big peace agreement. Does it have legs? Can it last? What will be from his standpoint some of the key thresholds to think that this thing might be real? All of that with our counter-terror guy, Edina's own Mike Hurley, former officer with the Central Intelligence Agency. Dare I say it? A Dairyland Diary just might be